Mrs. Sadie decided to show up again. I'm a little drunk. It is 12:30 in the PM. I went out with some coworkers for a goodbye party, so that is my excuse. I don't just day drink normally. So Mrs. Sadie's gonna chill with us too. We're gonna read chapters 10 and 11. Okay, here we go. Ready? It's been a month since I went through basic. You're basic. You're a basic bitch. The last entry I made was during the first week of security forces training. I felt like a train bound to metal tracks with only one destination, becoming a cop for the Air Force. A cop? For the Air Force? That's weird. I didn't know they could do that. My roommate, Airman Taylor, is obsessed with country music, despite being from Minnesota. They listen to country music in Minnesota. That's kind of like what they do. Is it not? Is it not? I don't know. Mrs. Sadie, Mrs. She's a beautiful little girl. She's a beautiful little cat. She's such a nice lady. Yes, indeed. He's a scrawny-looking brunette guy with brown eyes and pimples on his face. You know what? Thank God Greg is actually fucking adding descriptions to his characters now, because before we didn't get shit. Didn't get shit. Sniff my keys. Out of all the things you could sniff, oh, fuck you, Sadie. Out of all the things you would want to sniff, keys, I think, would be on the bottom of the rung, of the ladder, of things to sniff. What am I leaning on? Oh, my water bottle. Okay. To save you from looking at a map of Minnesota, is right by North Dakota. That's how it's written. And shares a border with Canada. So why can't you just say, like, northwestern Minnesota? Okay. I just assumed people who were into country music came from the South, considering the desert cowboy cliche. Well, you'd be wrong, because you don't fucking look outside your comfort zones. I think it's pretty hard to be a cowboy and build a snowman at the same time. What? What the fuck? Regardless of the fact he blasts his inbred music on a regular basis, he seems a pretty decent guy. Or that's my impression of him. Now you fucking hate people who listen to country music? You're such an ass! Oh. As I learned before, most everyone is socially palatable. You fucking sourced that. Until they have a significant reason to be otherwise. I bet if you offered my roommate $100 million to smother me in my sleep, he'd have done it the first chance he got. What? All we know about this guy is that he's brunette and has pimples and, like you, Greg, and he listens to country music, so he wants to smother you in his sleep? That's projecting a little bit, am I right? Humans seem sane because appearing to be that way serves us better than the alternative. We isolate, segregate, and demonize people whose behaviors conflict with other members of society, and then act surprised when someone snaps. No, you isolate and segregate yourself and demonize people. You do that. Stop projecting your worldly thoughts onto the rest of the universe. We find out someone randomly loses it and has in fact been crazy the whole time, but of course it came out of nowhere. I mean, there's some truth to that, but there's also a lot of warning signs that go unnoticed, unfortunately. Wait, where could you possibly be going with this? When you create a closet and tell people if they hide their darker traits in it, everyone will accept them. What? You're going to have a full closet. Okay. However, the reality of the closet is that it may only hold so much. One day it may burst. Like, I feel like people normally, things can build up for them, but not in an essence of what you think bursting means, aka fucking exploding and fucking killing people is what I'm kind of getting here. However, the reality of the closet, I just read that. I'm just saying, stop acting shocked when you find out someone you knew wound up being a nut job. This is like him telling the readers, like, guys, I'm really fucked up. You can't tell. How dare you not think that I would go crazy? Like, we all know that one day, Greg, you're gonna go fucking insane. We all know that. Like, we're not gonna be shocked by it either, because you're insane. Like, you're just a crazy fucking person that, no doubt, will one day snap. And I don't want to be around when that fucking happens. You didn't try to connect with them and find out who they really were. Well, herein lies the strange dichotomy, because you don't want to be around people, you don't want to show your quote-unquote true self to them, but you're crying out to be helped, but you push any help away. That is the strange conflict. The conflict. All you did was give them incentive to pretend to be like you. You built the ship, now sink with it. Where are you going with this? Just fucking tell us a story already. I'm tired of this manifesto bullshit. Regardless, I was able to call Ashley. Our conversation kind of went like this. Hey, Ashley, it's Arthur, I said in a hopeful voice. Ugh. Ashley replied, who? Fuck that. You don't forget the name of the guy who took your fucking V card, okay? I want to say something. I'm not going to say what I was going to say. That's his drunk giants talking. Me being horrified by this response, I tried to remain calm and said again, Arthur, I haven't been gone that long, have I? Ashley paused and then said, oh, hi, I wouldn't forget the guy who took my virginity, Arthur! I just didn't expect you to call. I replied, yeah, well, I thought I should. She then said, oh, okay, in a tone that seemed completely disinterested. Like, I'm not even gonna get into how how horribly the syntax is here. My emotions were telling me the full story. Really? Really? What's your full story here, Greg? She had already moved on and had no desire to have any future with me. It was probably my fault, considering the fact I made it clear I would never see my father again. So, why are you so shocked? Are you that fucking memorable in bed, Greg? Because I don't think you are. I guess she assumed I wrote the whole town off as well. I really thought the way she acted when I left was a phase, and that she would miss me down the line. Seems I'm still unwanted. Hey, look at that! Something expectation-wise didn't fulfill for you. Oh no. Oh no. The world's gonna end now. Ugh. I followed up with, how's school? She replied, it's fine. I kind of wish I got a GED early like you so I could get out of here sooner. We sat in an awkward silence on the phone for about a minute. I felt like I was sitting next to a dead house pet, expecting it to come back to life. That's fucking creepy. That's a horrible thing to say. I didn't want to accept something I cared about wasn't coming back. Like, this is the first instance we've talked about Ashley since you went into the military. So, like, how do we know that you even fucking pined for her? I told Ashley she could email me if she ever wanted to talk, as I didn't have a consistent phone number yet. She said, okay, then goodbye. That was boring. Sadly enough, I think my father would have been happier to hear from me than her. Right. Yeah, the guy who called the cops on you when you refused to eat dinner and nearly choked you to death. Yeah, sure, okay. It seemed like such a long time since I last saw her, but I probably would have had a new girlfriend in that time if she were the one who left me behind. I don't blame her. You arrogant asshole. Fuck you. Who would ever date this guy? Who would ever date this guy? In other news, I recently found out I'm a coward. Oh my, what? Oh god, you've made mention of you being a coward before. So, what do you mean recently found out? One of the security forces instructors staged a hostage situation right in front of class. We were sitting in a pretty standard, more modern classroom in the middle of a security forces training building when a man burst through the door of our class pointing a gun at our instructor while repeatedly screaming, "Sergeant Mason!" God, that was a long fucking dumbass fucking bullshit fucking sentence. Quickly after the man stormed in, he barked out a dialogue about military conspiracies. Sure. Why don't you tell them the truth about what's really going on in the government? Why don't you tell them the truth about what you people really are? He, period. Yeah. I'm assuming he meant to say he said, but he just wrote he, period. No surprise, the room full of security forces trainees... Fuck. No surprise, the room full of security forces trainees did nothing. I wonder if you can see. Kind of. Okay. See where it says, no, see, why don't you tell them the truth about the people we really are, and then see he, period. See that right there? I can't point it out because I can't move my arm. He, period. See that? He, period. Ah, you idiot! The sad part is I was sitting only about 12 feet from the man holding the gun, and the only thing I did was zone out on the papers on my desk. God bless you, honey. Zone out on the papers, sure. I didn't try to fight him. I didn't try to alert anyone outside. I just sat there like a pathetic child waiting for his mommy to come save the day. He had a gun, I didn't. Even if I felt like being a hero in the place of borderline soiling my underwear, I didn't see a chance for disarming the man. Well, I mean, if you're not trained in a situation right away, you are not gonna know how to act. You know, like those like 4 guys who thwarted the terror attack on that French train. They were military guys, so they fucking knew how to take this guy down. You know, an average Joe who has no training in hostage negotiation is not gonna know, so stop beating yourself up over it. Stop being a fucking victim! After what seemed like 5 minutes, the gunman lowered his gun and started chuckling. Our instructor giggled to herself as well. I didn't know that your instructor was a female. Like, you need to really establish the characters and establish who is in the scene, or else it's going to be jarring to the reader. We were obviously all confused, but our instructor quickly cleared things up. Well, that's unfortunate. I was hoping someone would try to stop him from blowing my brains all over the wall, Sergeant Mason said. The sergeant then thanked the makeshift actor for playing his part and revealed to us that the gun the actor was holding was a dummy. Really, I couldn't have inferred that from you fucking saying it was a fake, shithead. The barrel of his shiny silver weapon was welded shut, preventing anything going in or out. Yeah, that's what a dummy gun is! God, shut up! The only way we could have seen this, however, was by looking down the chamber itself. The most humiliating moment was when Sergeant Mason turned to me and asked, Airman Lindfeld, you were right there. What were you doing? I responded, I was trying not to escalate the situation. He was far enough away from me to get a shot off before I could tackle him. I didn't want to make things worse. I said it with such confidence, but inside I felt like a complete failure. You are a complete failure. You fucking suck at everything. What I said was both the truth and a lie. Yeah, sure. Cool. Sure, I was probably right about the probability of successfully wrestling away a gun without getting shot. Do we care about this? I don't care about this at all. But I'd take being wrong and brave over a coward and right, okay? I need to make sure I have my credit card. Okay, I have all my necessary evils in here. It was the principle of the matter. This world is full of people who are too afraid to create This world is full of people who are too afraid to face corruption and death head on. The same people would watch a father violate his own children and do nothing for years and years. What? What? Stop generalizing the general public into your twisted worldviews. If everyone stood up and fought in situations like these, would they still arise? What? If you knew 20 people would tackle you the moment you pulled out a gun, be honest, what are the chances you would ever do it? My life is meaningless, but my existence can have more significance than this cowardly state if I let it. What I just went through proves how basic and irrelevant I am to this day. I will never stand by and watch someone become a victim again. I don't get the point of that at all. I don't get the point of any of these long-ass fucking stupid bullshit stories that really lead to nowhere. There's no resolution to them. He's not learning anything from them. He's just, like, Uh-oh. We're 44% of the way done. That was the end of the chapter, by the way. It's chapter 11 now. And guess what happens in the beginning of chapter 11? Ready? While the dorms were a miserable place, I've met a pretty amazing girl named Corey Jeffries, or Airman Jeffries, as I'm supposed to call her. I don't know how the military works, again, but I don't believe fraternizing is okay to do. I went through a suicide-homicide prevention course recently, and I was one of the only people to pass it. Yeah, right. Yeah, fucking right. Shut up. Apparently, I'm one of the few people in the military who has the ability to show compassion for people about to kill themselves. What? When have you ever shown any emoticon of fucking... Emoticon? I don't know. When have you shown any modicum of fucking compassion for fucking anybody, you dipshit? Just another baseless fucking claim. Surprise, right? Most of us are just mindless morons, God, who practically wreck our pants at the idea of having the opportunity to shoot someone. Now ask these people about the human side of war? Prepare to see countless military members go brain dead before your eyes. Like, I don't believe you in any respect at all. I don't have respect for this character. I don't think that he would have been able to prevent anybody from suicide because he wants to kill people. That just doesn't go away. I don't believe it for a second. Corey was a cute short girl with brown eyes and dyed blonde hair. Who is this avatar of? Someone check his fucking creepy ass old email or old website to see who this could be. Ready? She was discouraged by the military dress code from having dyed hair, but she clearly didn't care. She was assigned my partner in digitally raiding these homes with pre-recorded scenarios. Okay. I guess it was after our experience that she decided she wanted to be my friend. Ugh. We were basically two human beings surrounded by mindless drones. How could we not gravitate towards one another? I don't know. I think you project a lot of your feelings onto other people a lot of the time. And when they quote-unquote disappoint you for some fucking reason, you blow up and act like you're the fucking victim again because they couldn't, you know, satiate your needs. What are you looking at, missus? Fuck a dick. I dropped my goddamn phone! It's so far away. Oh! Ow! My nail! Danger. Danger! High voltage! Oh, missus, you're so pretty! I can't stand it. I want to bite your face off. Oh. We were basically Oh, I'm sorry. I accidentally switched pages. In the training event, each airman was called up to stand next to a projector with their dummy guns and observe the screen. This felt a lot like playing a video game like Time Crisis in the arcade. All you have to do is say, playing the arcade video game Time Crisis. It makes it a lot less wordy and it makes it a lot more easy to read. I watched student after student fail to get the suicidal digital characters they faced to drop their weapons. That's what happens when you treat people on the verge like they're rabies-infected dogs. You know, you say student after student did this. Like, could you let us know, like, what the students were doing that were so wrong? Because I have never been in that scenario. I've never gone through military training where I have to coax a suicidal person down. Maybe if you could, like, let us know what's going on. It looks like he's gonna, but let's just see. It looks like the paragraph is gonna. The computer-controlled video would take the trainees through a house straight into a room, and the guy would be on his bed with a gun to his head. Is this really part of military training? I don't know. As soon as the airmen saw him holding a gun, regardless of his obvious suicidal condition, they in response would just scream over and over again, "Drop the gun now." Someone was even as stupid enough to say, "Drop the gun or I'll shoot," and everyone in the room reacted with either laughter or angry scoffs. This is training, right? Like, aren't they told what to say? So why are they all going off book? It was clear the student threatening someone with a gun to his own head offended our trainer. Sergeant Mason asked in an angry tone, "You would shoot someone pointing a gun to themselves?" The student replied, "No, I'm sorry, Sergeant." The words fell on deaf ears. We were still incredibly disgusted with the stupidity You were! The stupidity it took to even consider threatening someone already wanting to die. It was my turn to go up. Corey stood next to me and aimed her weapon at the screen. The projector took us through pretty much the same scenario. Like, why would the scenario fucking change? I can't! Ugh! God! Come here! It's so far away. The same man had a gun at his side. I was glad to see the gun wasn't to his head yet. Why do you get special fucking treatment? I almost dropped my phone once again. Holy fuck. I began to talk to him as if he were really right in front of me. "Sir, we're here to make things right. How can we resolve this?" I asked. I could hear Sergeant Mason clicking away at her computer mouse. No doubt selecting the next path for the scenario to take. Well, I fucking gleaned that from the fact that it's a fucking, what's the word? What is the word? It's on the tip of my tongue. Oh my god. Recreation? It's not the word I want. I don't know. It's a scenario that is not real. I can't think of the word. I'm sorry. I've had 3 vodka tonics. My wife left me and I want to die, the man on the projector screamed as he lifted the gun to his head. Crap, right? I thought I was doing well, but I clearly needed to adapt. The man before me wore black shorts and a white tank top. He was slightly heavier, middle-aged, and ungroomed. It wasn't my job to remind him of how lazy he appeared or what a mess his house was. Fuck you, Greg! Jesus Christ! You're doing like a suicide negotiation right here. And their first thought is like how ungroomed the guy is. Like, if somebody is in that state, like, they're not gonna give a shit about what they look like, so fuck you for even adding that in there. When someone was about to jump, you don't push them. You do everything you can to pull them back. I quickly said, "Sir, you have so much to live for. Please don't do this. We want to help you." That sounds so sincere, am I right? Please. Oh, hearing this, Corey then chimed in. "Please put down the gun. It'll be okay." I heard Sergeant Mason click away yet again. Then the man said, "I have nothing to live for. I'm gonna do it." Wow. I felt slightly offended the computer didn't register what I just said. But it wasn't state-of-the-art equipment, so what can you do? Okay, so your excuse is that it's not state-of-the-art equipment? That they're not listening to you? Because you have so much to live for is really gonna fucking help a suicidal person right now. In the moment where they're actually thinking about taking their own life. You say something as generic as that, and you're offended that they didn't put the gun down, you fucking asshole. I refused to let him give up like this. I wasn't willing to accept failure. I responded to the man, "You have so much to live for. This situation is temporary. You can be happy again. Don't make this mistake." Corey remained silent next to me as we both looked on in awkward silence. The man then said, okay, I'm putting down the gun." Really? You have so much to live for. Like, why are these kids doing, like, hostage, like, suicidal negotiations early in basic training? That doesn't seem like something that you would do in basic training. And I feel like answering as generically as that is not going to talk a suicidal person down. I think Greg just got really lazy here. Because he's a lazy fucker. He just wanted to write another book quickly. That's it. That's why there doesn't seem to be any care going into this. It's just his mind ejaculated on a page. That's really all it is. Oops. And with that, we were the first 2 people out of the 14 or so that went before us to actually save the digital character. The room didn't offer applause. Everyone there simply remained quiet. Like, fuck you. You don't deserve any sort of applause or any sort of, like, adulation at all. The only real congratulations we got for being the first to save someone was a smile and a nod from Sergeant Mason. In a silly way, I felt really... Wow, sorry. It's silly in a way, but I felt proud of myself for saving the character. Ugh! It was like I wasn't just this useless coward I previously concluded myself to be. He's not happy that he saved somebody's life, quote-unquote. He's just happy that it made him feel good. This is why Greg's such a fucking asshole. Looks like I have a little bit of that ridiculous thing people call hope. No, you still don't. I fucking hate you. Regardless, to my pleasant surprise, Corey and I have been pretty inseparable since. Like, ew! Like, why do you think, like, somebody wants to spend that much time around you? I don't get it. I always tried to eat at her table in the chow hall, and she often goes out of her way to stand by me in formation. Are males and females mixed in during military basic training? Does anybody have an answer for me to that? Because I don't think that is accurate. I don't know. I can't speak to that, but I don't know. I really don't know, and I'd like to know. We were sitting in my dorm room the other day. "How old are you, Arthur?" Corey asked. "I'm 18, I said. I would have mentioned turning 18 earlier, but birthdays are pretty irrelevant to me. Why should I celebrate being 1 year closer to death?" How do you enlist when you're 17 without your father's permission? Corey smiled and replied, "Well, I just turned 17. Greg, stop being creepy with, like, 17-year-old girls." I asked, "Why did you join so early?" She giggled and replied, "I graduated early and I wanted to be a lit major, but couldn't afford college. You?" I felt incredibly awkward. I felt incredibly awkward. I really didn't want to answer this question. Having a GED isn't really something to brag about, but I told her anyway. I got a GED. after being expelled from high school for fights I had been in on and off campus. Like, you don't need to tell us, you don't need to preemptively tell us what your character is about to say in his dialogue. It just is so sloppy. Corey sat back and said, "Wow, you're an uneducated troublemaker, aren't you? Why would you be fucking impressed by that? God damn it." Fortunately, she said it in a joking tone, otherwise I would have died a little inside. "Wow, you moved on quickly from Ashley, didn't you, fucker?" I replied, "Yeah, you could say that." She smiled and said, "I'm kidding. There's obviously a lot more to you. How'd your parents handle you joining up?" This is such a fucking nice conversation. Great, another question I didn't want to dive into at all. How much more? Oh, thank God, 2 more pages. Oh, this is going to be a short chapter. Actually, let me just see how long chapter 12 is. It looks like it's long. Oh, it's too long. It's not that long. Fuck it. Fuck it! Fuck it, I'll do it. Oh, I hate you. Just thinking, ow, my elbow. Thinking about my father's reaction when I told him I was leaving made me feel sick. Ugh. I didn't want to talk about my dad's excited look when he realized he didn't have to put up with me anymore. Oh, I don't believe you. I don't believe you! I didn't want to talk about how his girlfriend packed my things as soon as humanly possible and how ready they both were to say goodbye. You don't, really, you don't think we're supposed to feel bad for you for them feeling like, yeah, let's get this fucking asshole out of here. The idea they never had to see me again clearly was the best thing that happened to them in some time. Their response was expected, but somehow emotionally crippling. Sure. No, Corey had enough information to know the amount of truth she needed. What? Corey had enough information to know the amount of truth she needed. What does that fucking mean? I just wanted to hang out with Corey and forget about my other life, so I said, "Well, whatever, I'm here, that's all I care about." She smiled and replied, "I'm glad you're here, Arthur." I started blushing, only to try to wipe it away. Not a lot of people showed such sincere interest in me. I felt so lucky to be around this girl. Yeah, such sincere interest, except your first fucking girlfriend in high school lets you fuck her raw for her first time. That's not genuine interest either, dipshit. Jesus God. Side note, yes, I realize I'm softening up, but for Corey, it's what she deserves. I don't like how Greg changes himself so much to appease people that he bangs. It's fucking weird. I thought the military would make me an even more serious and domineering person. I was partially wrong. There's just something about most everyone around me being more miserable than I've ever been mixed with, being able to see Corey on a daily basis. What? This place so many describe as hell has become an unexpected paradise for me. Sure. I felt like a lit match. When I'm surrounded by light, I'm worthless. In the dark, I thrive. This is where I belong. And that's the end of the chapter. I don't get it. I don't get it! It's too contradictory for me to get it! I don't get it. I'm hungry again. I just ate. I'm hungry again. Okay, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 pages. 12 more pages and that'll put me at 52%. Fine. Fine. Let's fucking do it. Ugh! Chapter 12. I've had a lot of problems with training since my last entry. Like, every single fucking chapter you say, since my last entry, like, just fucking write your goddamn bullshit. A staff sergeant I absolutely despised humiliated me in front of the entire flight through a sequence of events. Oh, God. Like, now you just totally signal to the reader what's gonna happen to you, and that's boring. That's boring! Just tell us what's going to happen. Then we're excited when something, whoa, that was unexpected. Now we're expecting something fucked up to happen to you. I was so sick of this trainer, Sergeant Cassava, prancing around like she owned the place when she was obviously barely 23 and got in the Air Force on book smarts alone. What? Is that a legit thing? I don't know. On an uncomfortably hot day during one of her many emasculating rants, like, all the people Greg has a problem with are women. Female sergeants. What does that tell you? She said, "You are a bunch of pansies. You should be ashamed of yourselves. The way you've been performing is pathetic. You think you people deserve respect? You're so strong. You're nothing." This was after we had all busted our butts the entire morning to perform to their expectations on yet another ridiculous training course. This is where he belongs, though, guys. Don't forget. The amount of anger I felt for a baby-faced daddy's girl like Sergeant Cassava insulting everyone in the flight in such a disrespectful way overrode every social precaution I had. Right. Sure, I stood in the middle of our formation. Every word she spoke added to my rage till I finally screamed, "Sergeant Cassava, you just violated the UCMJ." What does that mean? What's UCMJ? United Corps Michael Jackson. The silence that loomed after my objection was deafening. After seconds of no one knowing how to react, the woman child she was screeched back, "Who was that? Who said that? Who the hell said that?" I screamed again, "Airman Lindfeld." She screeched once more, "Step out of formation now." I promptly complied. She approached me and said, "What did you just say to me?" Standing at the position of parade rest, I replied, "The UCMJ specifically states you are not authorized to use language that emasculates airmen. You called us pansies and have used other emasculating terms repeatedly throughout training." Is it, like, really? Really? Do you think this fucking coward asshole would have the balls to say this? Sergeant Cassava had a fresh look of confusion and fear. We all lived by the UCMJ. Oh, okay, now he explains it to us. The Uniform Code of Military Justice. It served as a system of rules we all had to abide by, in addition to the civilian laws we were already subjected to. I could have inferred that. You didn't have to fucking tell me that. Sergeant Cassava remained silent in front of me. She was obviously not as well versed on the section of UCMJ I was referencing. When did you fucking read up on it? This fact was hilarious because it was her literal... If he uses literal or literally one more time, I'm going to punch my computer. It was her literal job to be educated on it. It was also her job to educate others on the UCMJ, but there she was, completely dumbfounded. I don't believe this for a fucking second! I just don't! I just can't! The sergeant told me to return to formation. She then screeched in her normal tone, "Does anyone else feel I have violated the UCMJ?" Every airman remained silent, because they're smart and not dumb. She screeched even louder. I said, "Does anyone else feel I violated the UCMJ?" In that moment, I was reminded how outnumbered I was. Because you don't think before... You say you think before you act, but you clearly don't. Your spontaneity is going to get you in trouble, because you think you're right. But you're not, because you're a fucking asshole! I was up against... the mindless machine of the military. I was defending these morons, and here they were, standing there silently with their tails between their legs. Because not everybody is a disrespectful little shit like you, Greg. At this point, you could throw a hand grenade in the middle of formation, and so long as Corey wasn't in it, I wouldn't feel a thing. Upon Sergeant Cassava demanding an answer once more, our flight screamed in sync, "No, Sergeant." The only person who didn't belch out a desperate "No, Sergeant" was Corey, who was right next to me in the formation. I think Corey was too scared to say anything at all. Yeah, let's hear from her, not from your words on what you think she's thinking. Speaking out against higher-ranking enlisted members, training instructors at that, was unheard of in the field. "Oh, Greg, you're such a pioneer! Oh, you're such an auteur of speaking back against military members!" Blah. Sergeant Cassava didn't really punish me beyond turning my entire flight against me that day. Alright. I thought the incident would be left on the training course, but the next day I was proven wrong. Oh, no. Before I could even get into the training building my classroom was in. Why? Everything he writes is so needlessly wordy. Into the training building my classroom was in. You can't just say classroom. You have to mention that it's a training building as well. Fuck you. Sergeant Cassava confronted me outside and told me to report to a master sergeant who was waiting for me in the basement of the building. See? Basement of the building. You're needlessly ending your sentences and prepositions that just make it wordy and make it jarring and make it too verbose for the reader to care about. I followed her order and walked down the stairs. It wasn't hard to find his office, as most the floor wasn't well lit. Most the floor, sure. And his room was brightly glowing in the middle of a dark hallway. As I walked in, the Master Sergeant's secretary greeted me, saying, "Hello, how can I help you?" I told her I was Airman Lindfeld, and she pointed to an already open door with an obviously infuriated Master Sergeant sitting behind his bright wooden desk just beyond it. Ugh. Ugh. The man had dead eyes. Alright. And was actively staring intensely in my direction. Actively staring intensely. Actively fucking staring fucking intensely. Oh, God. This is why you need a competent copy editor, so they can make your story not fucking this boring. Thinking to myself, well, this should be incredible, I walked towards him. Oh, he added a period after incredible in closed quotes. That's so not fucking correct. Without hesitation, he lurched up and screamed, "You know nothing about the UCMJ, Airman." I stopped and stood silently in front of his desk. I asked, "Would you like me to close the door, Master Sergeant?" Ugh. He immediately screamed back, "No, you." He was clearly holding back from insulting me. I wish he would insult you. I wish he would just start pistol whipping you and your fucking insubordination. It was like he was angry and terrified at the same time. Terrified of what? Terrified of you? You fucking pretentious asshole? The Master Sergeant then pointed to a massive book on his desk. "This is the UCMJ." He lifted the book up and shoved it into my chest from across his desk. Now, holding the fully open UCMJ in my arms, he commanded me to read the section I called out Sergeant Cassava for violating. I looked for the passage he wanted me to read, but could not find it. Ha ha, fuck you. The Master Sergeant furiously grabbed the book out of my hands and awkwardly tried to find the passage himself. Everything is so awkward. Why is everything so awkward for you, Greg? Why? What makes everything so awkward? I don't get it. Once he located it, he shoved the book back into my chest and pointed to it. I then read the passage aloud to him. A-L-L-O-W-E-D. A-L-O-U-D. Aloud. Aloud, it means you are granting permission for somebody to do something. I expected it stated what I said it did. Of course you did, because you think you're always fucking right. And then when you're proven wrong, you try to worm your way out of it, because you're a fucking weasel piece of shit asshole. Where's Sadie? Sadie! Is that Sadie over there? Sadie! No, that's a pile of clothes. I want to find the cat really quick. Where's the missus? Oh, there she is!
She's right here. It's crazy. Oh, Mrs. Sadie.
Mrs. Sadie. Mrs. Sadie, newsroom cat. Mrs. Sadie, Sadie, Sadie cat.
You're such a ploopy little thing. It's so crazy.
She's so nice. She's such a nice lady.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Lie down. Ploop. Oh no. She wants to go back in her box. Why was I even in that office being yelled at? Why? Because of insubordination! Clearly, Sergeant Cassava was not authorized to use emasculating terms towards other enlisted members. You didn't even read to us what it said! Fuck. The water just totally ejaculated all over my face. All over my phone, too. My God, this is like a spray of water. I looked up at the Master Sergeant without any expression or emotion. The sergeant, still looking furious, screamed again, "Keep reading!" I looked down at the UCMJ once more to see what he was talking about. Before I continue, I want to point something out to all of you reading this. The UCMJ quotes we were issued covered only excerpts. They apparently didn't tell the full story. This is why you fucking do research before you expound on how right you are about everything. I literally called out Sergeant Cassava because of how the UCMJ excerpts were presented within the training guide they issued us. Excuse me, that was gross. What the Master Sergeant was referring to was something I had never seen. It was a section that was not included in the document I had yet seen. What? That doesn't make sense. I continued to read the section I was never issued. The second half the paragraph specifically stated that emasculating people was unacceptable unless in a training environment. Ha ha, Greg, you got proven so wrong. You got proven so wrong. And now, let's see how he weasels his way out of this. And he starts saying, well, I thought. I didn't feel humbled. Of course he didn't. I didn't feel like I was even wrong. Of course he fucking didn't. I felt like I was screwed over. Oh, fucking victim! Permanent fucking victim this guy is. It's so irritating. I was set up to fail because they issued a document directly to trainees stating they could not be treated a certain way, yet that statement was all for show. It was— oh, God! Oh, it's still going. It's still going. It won't ever fucking stop. Oh, I lost my place. I looked forward to see how much I had left. Oh! We clearly could not be treated like we were nothing. Yes, we clearly could be treated like we were nothing. Sorry. It's not that I cared about how badly we were treated. Bullshit. It's that I was specifically told we could not be treated a certain way, only to see a spoiled brat for a sergeant break those alleged rules. She didn't break any rules! She didn't! This is why if you see something like number one, I highly doubt that they would leave something like that out. I think that that's ridiculous. I think you fucking scanned it and weren't happy with what you read. This just seems so unbelievable to me. This was really about calling her out and shutting her up. I am truly surrounded by morons. Ah! Don't tell me the rules and then yell at me for expecting them to be followed by the people who told me them. Greg, this is life, okay? This is fucking life. You get told one thing and then somebody who is your superior can just fucking, nope! That's what they can do. That is life. I experience it fucking daily at my job, which is more high-powered than anything you've ever fucking done. High-powered and more pressure fulfilled than anything you've ever done. I'm told, make my lead lines into my scripts compelling and exciting. And then when I think I do, they need to be changed. And then when I see how it's changed, it's something that I've written in the past. Like, shit like that happens, and you just have to deal with it instead of acting like you're the fucking victim in all of this. Oh my god, I'm gonna scream. I'm gonna give myself a hickey. You ever remember doing that in preschool? Preschool? I mean grade school. Give yourself a hickey in the middle of your arm. I don't know why. Yep, it's coming. Our training guide gave many people who read it the false impression that men are to be treated like men, no matter what. I shouldn't be surprised. This wasn't the first injustice I experienced in the military, and it wouldn't be the last. The Master Sergeant continued screaming at me after I read the section, but I wasn't paying attention. I was brewing in the reminder as to why I hate most everyone. Fuck you! I hadn't softened up after all. All the hate was coming back. See, I knew it. I fucking knew it, asshole. I imagined shoving a chainsaw in the gut of the screaming Master Sergeant and cutting him down like a tree. Like a tree. The satisfaction it would give me watching him choke on his own blood as he gargled bloody screams at me. He did it again. That was just a statement. The satisfaction it would give me watching him choke on his own blood as he gargled bloody screams at me. That's a statement. It's a fragment. It's not a sentence. This was a con job. They set me up to fail and he knew it. Oh my god! Victim playing! Victim playing! What did he just do in like the last couple chapters when he was like, I can't believe people play the victim. This is all he does! This is all he does! Ah, I'm gonna break my phone. I wanted to see him bleed for his deception. I want to see you bleed from when I slap the shit out of you with a pinky ring on. The pathetic part of this entire incident is it doesn't end with the Master Sergeant trying to humiliate me in front of his secretary. I just showed everybody my crotch. I apologize. Let's cover that up. Okay, what's the pathetic part then? Hours after I was excused from the Master Sergeant's office, Sergeant Cassava called me in front of the entire flight. What? Sergeant Cassava called me in front of the entire flight out in the field and educated everyone on what happens to airmen who try to correct his or her superior enlisted members. What a joke. That's not a joke! That's like discipline! That is discipline what the military is supposed to fucking teach you! Oh! Them mocking someone for standing up for the UCMJ was specifically mind-numbing due to the fact the very same people who regularly who regularly encouraged us to report corruption within the military were now discouraging us from reporting corruption. Except it's not corruption! It's not! The rules say that it's okay to do it. It's shitty, but fucking deal with it, you little worm. You little fucking maggot. Maggot! Listen to me, maggot! Oh, God, it's not corruption. Oh, it's a... That's gonna happen. It wasn't just an enlisted member wellness issue. It was a PR issue for the entire Air Force. What? Okay. None of this mattered in the fleeting moment to anyone but me, it seemed. These drones posing as human beings could only see 10 feet in front of them. That's how you drive off a cliff, boys and girls. Stay stupid. What? God! Sergeant Cassava just had to parade around her victory over me. A mere infant of the military. This newborn military baby who quoted a section of the UCMJ she didn't even know existed before she was confronted about it. That is bullshit and you fucking know it! Do punchlines get better than that? She was a walking, talking comedy show. Problem is, you had to have a working brain to understand why she is so tragically hilarious. I want to kick you in the dick. I want to kick your dick off of you. A male training sergeant called out, "Airman Lindfeld, step out of formation and report to the front." I complied. Obviously, in the military, you rarely have a choice when it comes to direct commands. Clearly. Once I stood in front of my flight as he commanded, the male training sergeant spoke aloud to everyone around. He said, "This is an example of an airman who has failed you all. This is an example of an airman who speaks without knowing the slightest bit about what he's talking about." Exactly. You bastard. Fuck you, Greg. God, I would love to shove my fist down your throat and watch you suffocate like a helpless beached fish in front of your precious puppets. Didn't he say this is where he belonged? Didn't he just say that? What the fuck? As I stood there being ridiculed in front of my peers, more rules of the military kept bouncing around my mind. Rules specifically frowning on singling enlisted. It doesn't look right. I guess it is. It doesn't look right. Singling enlisted members out or using humiliation tactics. But this time I doubted myself. The rules I read prior were obviously not the full story. Now you have the full story, and now you have to fucking comply. So shut your goddamn fucking whining piece of shit mouth! God! I was better off remaining silent and letting them bask in their false victory. He raked in victory again. Even if I was right and proceeded to call them out on rules they were now breaking, who cared about the truth anymore? These airmen were sick of me. I'd be fucking sick of you too if I was your superior. I'd be like, this kid is a fucking insubordinate little piece of shit who thinks he's right all the time. Let's fucking frag him. Let's put our soap in our socks and just beat the shit out of him. The rest of the day, when we weren't forced into formation, I spent in isolation. Good. This wasn't by order of the sergeants. Oh no. But by choice of my peers. What? Okay. I was a cancer to them, and the only one who would even look at me without scorn was Corey. As I sat alone, she looked my way a couple of times. One of the times I looked directly after her, she smiled and waved. That single act of kindness was enough to get me through the rest of the day, and that is the end of the fucking 3 goddamn chapters I just fucking read in an hour. Ugh! Guys, this is getting worse and worse. It's getting more victim-y than ever, and it's so contradictory. That's what's pissing me off more than anything. How contradictory it is. I don't even, we're more than halfway through, thank the fucking Lord. I just don't know where the hell he's gonna go after this, because it's just worse and worse and worse and motherfucking worse. Oh, okay, with that, I need to, I don't know what I'm gonna do now. Maybe play The Sims 3 for like a million years. because that's what I like to do. Okay.